young mothers. We will listen to the project team about the project, and then we'll have interactions. And thereafter, we'll be ready to have the final closing session close to 5 o'clock. Thank you again for logging on. And I would like to remind participants, mute when you're not speaking. Hopefully we have the right to allow you to speak, so yay. And then I will go right away into our introductory remarks. I'm going to introduce different people on the project, and we'll keep speaking about them as we go. Our very first remarks will be from Professor Grace Bantebia. Professor Grace is a professor at the School of Women and Gender Studies. She is a distinguished social anthropologist with expertise in gender and social norms research. She brings this expertise as the co-investigator and lead of the project in Uganda. So you're welcome, Professor Grace, to speak to the participants. Prof. Grace, are you there?
Oh, I was muted, sorry. Yes, sorry. Yeah, I would like on behalf of the team also and also the School of Women and Gender Studies to welcome all the participants to this meeting. At this launch, where we are launching this very important project. And it is unique in its way, in its own way, talking about young mothers. Uganda is known as one of those youngest countries, but it also has a number of young mothers. So it is special because many times as researchers, we look at problems. But now, as you will hear from the project presentation, we are addressing issues of really giving the young mothers voice, centering the marginal voices, so which is so unique and new in its own way. So this webinar comes at the heels of, when we launched this very project, which we soon will be commence the activities. And the objectives of this webinar is to introduce the project to the key stakeholders, many of you who are attending this afternoon and others who are not here, but also to seek for support in a number of ways, because this project, we don't want to do it for the sake of it, but we want it to realize our expected goal. And that is giving young people's voices and improving lives of young people. We also hope that we can get key allies whom we can work with on this project to ensure that the voices of the young women, and we engage with the young women, and which would also be very, very critical for the young people in our society, because they're very critical. They have lives ahead, and they will need to be supported. So once again, I do welcome you and wish you great deliberations. I will hear the voices of the young people. We'll also hear the details of the project from my colleagues. Once again, you're most welcome, and we are looking forward to working with you as stakeholders as we really change the lives of young people in this country. Thank you very much. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Professor Grace. I would like to remind participants, please introduce yourself in the chat, because we are many. It will not be possible to introduce yourselves in person. Thank you for coming. I recognize colleagues from civil society, from academia, colleagues from South Africa and from the Northern Hemisphere. Thank you so much for logging on. Next, I'd like to invite Professor Doris. Professor Doris is the Dean of the Faculty of Human and Social Development at the University of Victoria in British Columbia, and that's in Canada. She is a historical she's an associate professor and acting director at the School of Child and Youth Care at the University of Victoria. She's an interdisciplinary social scientist who works on various themes in the broad area of children's geographies. She is a scholar activist whose research is mostly community-oriented. Professor Doris is the lead investigator on the Centering Marginal Voices project. You're welcome, Professor Doris, to give your welcome remarks.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jackie. Yeah, my name is Doris once again, and just to correct, I'm not the Dean of Social Sciences. I'm at the School of Child and Youth Care, and I'm so honored to welcome you to this monumental event. Those of you who don't know me, I'm a Ugandan. I was born and raised in Tungamo in northern Uganda, but zooming in from the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee First Nations here in Ottawa, where I'm currently visiting with my family. I also want to acknowledge with respect the Lukungen peoples on whose traditional territory the University of Victoria stands, and where I've had the privilege to live and work for the last 18 months. So I'm so happy to welcome you to this event. I'd like to recognize the presence of all of you, including Professor Sarah Sari. I would like to welcome you highly to this event. I want to recognize the presence of the members of the board of directors and staff of nascent RDO. You are most welcome. My colleagues and students of UVic present, especially my esteemed UVic co-PI, Professor Musina, you're highly welcome. And the incoming director of the School of Child and Youth Care, Professor Chemi, you're highly welcome to this event. I want to welcome all the local leaders from Kawempe and from Iganga and all the local government officials present. Thank you very much for logging in. All of you friends and supporters and allies from all over the world present, thank you very much for logging in. I look forward to interacting with you in the coming minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you so much, Professor Doris. We'll then, for those of you who are just joining us, you are very welcome. We are still on introductory remarks. And sorry, previously I was introducing the Dean, who is Professor Helga Hallgrim's daughter, that's the name. Professor Helga is the Dean of the Faculty of Human and Social Development at the University of Victoria. She's a historical comparative sociologist using history and comparison to get perspective of what human experiences mean. Her research interests are broad, and they include citizen participation, gender and sexuality, welfare states and social policy, among others. Professor Helga recorded her introductory remarks. And Derek, please could you give us a slide and we proceed. Thank you.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on what time zone you're joining us from. My name is Helga Hallgrimsdottir. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Human and Social Development here at the University of Victoria. And I have the honor and privilege of having been invited to say a few words to start you off on your project launch of the project Centering Marginal Voices that is being led, I am proud to say, by our very own Doris Kakuru, who is currently the acting director of the School of Child and Youth Care and a faculty member as well. Before I say anything further, I want to acknowledge that I am taking this call from my office at the University of Victoria, and you can see this picture is not on real time. This is a picture from spring, but you can see how beautiful the land here is and how welcoming and how fertile. This is the unceded territory of the Lekwungen peoples. I've lived here and have had the privilege of being allowed to live here for the last 20 years. So with that, I'd like to acknowledge and respect the Lekwungen peoples on whose traditional territory the university stands, and the Songhees, Esquimalt, and Wasanich peoples whose historical relationships with the land continue to this day. This project, Centering Marginal Voices, is a great and wonderful example of the kind of research, teaching, and practice that we are proud to focus on and emphasize here at the Faculty of Human and Social Development. This is a place, this is a group of scholars, teachers, and practitioners that really focus on both scholarship that is deeply embedded in policy and community response to emergent needs of our communities. It's also an environment where we really emphasize on how we can provide a kind of transformative educational experience for our students, so that when they're finished, they've had both practice and theoretical experiences that really help them translate the knowledge in ways that help us all together on a path towards a more just and sustainable future. We are a faculty that is committed to embedding obligations, responsibilities that have been given to us by both the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Canada, but we also advocate for anti-oppressive, inclusive education that focuses on anti-oppressive practices. And we see these as key to bit by bit, step by step, and also not just step by step, but also sometimes in big leaps and bounds, make transformative change in our communities. I hope that you'll use this opportunity to maybe give the Faculty of Human and Social Development a look, take a look at our website, see the other programs that we're offering, see the kinds of scholarships and programs that are that is being done. And I hope that you'll also see how how this particular project, in which there is an emphasis on bringing skills, training, and advocacy skills in particular directly to those who can kind of apply it in ways that are going to make the most impact and most immediate impact. This is how this really exemplifies what we really are trying to do, our core mission here in the Faculty of HSD. I am sorry that I'm not with you in real time, primarily because of the time difference. I know that Doris is joining from a slightly different time zone in Canada, and kudos to her for organizing this conference and this project launch. I wish you the very best in your scholarly, your academic, and your research and practice journey together. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Professor Helga. Please, Professor Doris, please convey our gratitude for that message. And thank you, Derek, for showing us that recording. Our next session will be talking about young motherhood in Uganda, and specifically on their voice. And we'll first listen to a scholar before we listen to a young mother. So our scholar is Anna Kamsime, who is a social development worker and director of programs at Nascent Research and Development Organization. Anna is a PhD researcher at the International Institute of Social Studies at Erasmus University in Rotterdam, that's the Netherlands. She's a qualitative researcher and bends more towards feminist theories, and she's a keen student of discourse. Anna uses collaborative ethnography and is passionate about adolescent reproductive health and rights. Anna will tell us about what all this jargon means in her presentation in the next second. You're very welcome, Anna.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from in your respective capacities. I wish to really thank you so much for joining us on this journey of magnifying the voices of young people, especially the young mothers. And so today, as we launch this most needed project in Uganda, I want us to, I call you to reflect, to rethink, to reimagine young motherhood by situating it in its broader society, which shapes their different experiences. So in the next 10 or 15 minutes, I am going to reflect on the prevalence rate of young motherhood, the realities that underpin young motherhood, whether they are muted or ignored or acknowledged. Then I'll highlight what is problematic and the possibilities that we will continue to explore on this project. So thank you so much. In starting, I wish to say that pregnancy among young people is an ancient social concern. It has always been, even in the days of our great grandparents. And also depending on our different cultures, there were different mechanisms of managing and of punishing young girls who became pregnant out of union. For example, like cases of the Lake Bunyonyi Punishment Island, the Chisizi waterfalls where the girls were dumped. But also there were different forms of punishments from different cultures in Uganda and beyond. So today, when young girls get pregnant, they are still stigmatized. They are insulted by their very own. They are chased from their own homes. They lose opportunities like schooling and many others. So while they know that they were punished in the days long ago, and today we still have many girls who are becoming pregnant. So, and they do not expect any better treatment, of course. So the question we need to have is, why do they then find themselves in such a situation, even when they know it is non-normative, it is not expected, and they are going to be punished actually for that? And so on this project, we continuously ask questions like, have we genuinely tried to explore those compounding and complex factors that shape their experiences, their narratives, and their realities? So the rate of teenage pregnancy has since reduced from 31% from 2001, and it kept on reducing to 24% in 2011, but again started rising to 25% in 2016. This rate is feared to even go much higher because of COVID-19, as you can see from the fact sheet which I've projected there, but also from the media. There have been so many of these stories. Many girls, especially in COVID, have become pregnant. I must mention that the government of Uganda under the Ministry of Health, by the way, in their sharpened plan of 2016, they had hoped to reduce the rate of teenage pregnancy to 14% by 2020. But you can see where we are. So this implies that as a country, we are off track. Now, I want to turn to the realities which underpin young motherhood. We may acknowledge, or we may be aware of these realities and these factors and these challenges. We might also be turning a blind eye to them. But the truth is, these factors intersect to shape the experiences of many young mothers in Uganda. One, there have been several efforts by the government of Uganda, by civil society organizations, many of whom are here, that have tried to sensitize young people about sexual and reproductive health and rights. But the information is still inadequate. It reaches only a few. it has been left to the few, to the few kind of experts and the authorities who bring this information to our children. But also this information does not touch all critical aspects which the young people would want to know. For example, in my research, which I do right here in the urban settings in Kampala, some of the girls I've interacted with me have told me that they didn't think that you can have sex just once and you become pregnant, and just once and then you get pregnant. And even actually, it is the same thing that some of the men who want to run off from responsibility, which they tell them, when the girls go and tell them, I'm pregnant, some men will tell them, come on, it was just once. How possible is it that on just one day, and it was even a short thing, how could I have made you pregnant? So, those are information issues. Two is the issue of contraceptive usage, which is highly a contentious issue in Uganda. Again, in the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health in 2016, in their sharpened plan, one of the strategies they had proposed was to increase contraceptive usage among the sexually active adolescents as a way of reducing teenage pregnancy. But also for those of us who have been following these discussions, we know that in 2017, just a year later, the Ministry of Health declined to approve the national guidelines and service standards for adolescent sexual and reproductive health and rights because, among other things, it talked about contraceptive usage by young people, and for them, they only wanted to promote abstinence. Of course, when the young girls visit the health facility, they can be given contraceptives. But according to Ministry of Education, not when they are dressed in a uniform, actually. So this position remains fragile, and girls are not sure if they're entitled, if they are not entitled, but also there are knowledge issues and also there are perception issues. For instance, one of the a perception issue, which the girls have continuously told me, is the issue of contraceptives. They burn your eggs and you might never be able to produce in the future. Three is the issue of abortion in Uganda, which is restricted, and it's almost equivalent with prohibition. But the reality is that young girls actually abort and they use different avenues, including those which are very risky. But as a country, we silence this discussion. And when we talk about abortion, our minds are made up, and it's a no-go area because of our morality standpoint, our spirituality, our values, and so on and so forth. Our government allows post-abortion care, but many fear to access this service. Many are not even aware that it is there. Those who know are not even sure whether it is legal or not, or it is a way to catch them finally. And so those who tend to use it, usually use it as the last resort at the point of death. Number four is the issue of sexual pleasure among young people, which is an issue that is out of question. It is a silenced topic. It is completely unacceptable. And so the information which we often pass to young people is that sexual intercourse is a danger to their health. It is a danger to their future. It will lead to pregnancy and HIV and AIDS, period. That is the kind of message that we give. But young people, of course, talk to each other. They share their sexual experiences, how pleasurable it was or how it was not. And so their peers want to try and also feel this kind of experience. So while the normative discourse really disallows sexual practices among young people because of different reasons, should we keep silent about it? Should we assume it is not even happening in our community? In Uganda, the other issue that we have is early and forced marriage, which is really prevalent, and it is one of the most significant drivers of adolescent pregnancy in Uganda. The State of Uganda Population Report of 2019 states that about 90% of adolescent pregnancies occur to girls who are who are already married by the age of 18. And of course, by that time, they have little or no say, or no say even regarding their own reproductive function. So this is a reality that the young girls and the young mothers we are talking about interface. An issue of economic hardships, poverty, lack of basic necessities is a reality that many Ugandan girls have to navigate on a daily basis. Again, in my research, I have met girls who told me that before the COVID, when they were going to school, at least for those who are going to school, they would get some pocket money from their bigger siblings, from their aunties, from their uncles, of course, who sympathized with them that they were going to suffer at school. In the last 2 years, they lost that little income. And actually their needs increased because they had the need now to buy airtime and stay connected with their friends. Otherwise, they were going to lose touch of their friends. But also there were other needs which cropped up. You know, girls had a need to grow hair. It was a way to look nice, but also to pass time, and many others. In addition, actually to that, at least in Uganda, we know that most of the boarding schools, they compulsorily require that parents have to give their daughters sanitary wear, panties, soap, Vaseline, and those little things. But when the schools closed, some parents stopped providing these needs. But of course, we know that these needs were never in lockdown. We have an issue of sexual abuse and sexual exploitation. This became a reality in the COVID era, especially where it became obvious that even children were being sexually abused by people who are very close to them. Lastly, one of the realities I want to bring out to you, of course, is the reality of COVID-19, which all of us have really experienced in different ways. And for me, I think not only did it complicate issues of sexual and reproductive health for young people, but also it made it obvious to us that there are underlying structural and systemic issues that need critical and urgent attention from us. Where is the problem that I want to focus on? What is problematic is how we frame and define young girls who get pregnant. When girls become pregnant, they are represented as immoral, as sinful, as prostitutes, as dangerous to other girls, and many other things. In my research, the girls have told me that, you know, people in the community, they call them anything that comes to mind. Of course, this is irrespective of the realities around them, as I have already mentioned. And second, that I find problematic is that the young girls who become pregnant are seen as a source of their own problem. They are problematized as the cause of the situation that they are in. Those of you who follow the discussion on social media, a few weeks ago, there was this picture on WhatsApp. It circulated quite a lot, a picture of this 10-year-old pregnant girl who they said was coming from Bundibujo. The picture was very explicit, didn't cover her face, and that because of that, there were so many discussions around her. Some of the discussions, of course, were sensitive, others were insensitive, others were condemning, others were abusing her, a 10-year-old, and others were calling it her own problem. One of the groups I was in, there is a man who shared a comment and used a Chinyankole proverb and said that agoga yani goga butosa. Literally, it means that the water you underestimate is the water which is going to wet your millet bread. We are talking about a 10-year-old, and someone sarcastically talks about something like that, as if this girl was even into a competition with adult women to become pregnant. There were also other comments which they made. They also made reference to a particular plant and said that that plant is made like that. So this girl is made like that. Let us wait and see how her life is going to look like. Of course, others were saying, Buera Rusa, they just make themselves crazy. We are talking about a 10-year-old in this kind of situation. Third, the young mothers, especially those who are out of marriage, though they are mothers, of course, in their own right, they are treated differently. They are like the other mothers. They carry a mark on them. So even when they're in public, when they go for health services, they are sometimes referred to as where are those, so they have a mark on them. Fourth, the young mothers are a marginalized category who lack a proper belonging. They are not seen to belong in the category of children, they are not in the category of girls, but also they are not seen to be belonging in that category of women. So this places them in what I have called an in-between space. And this has implications for services and for programs. For example, do they benefit from programs of children, of youth, or adult women? So when they call children, can they go for such services? When they go for adult women, can they go for such services? So they occupy this space which is not well defined. Fifth, there are tensions in policies which provide for the needs of young mothers. I've already given an example of the contraceptive usage among young people. I want to give another example of schooling of student mothers, which is a hotly contested debate right now in Uganda, following the guidelines given by the Ministry of Education and Sport, and of course, following the re-entry, the opening of schools in Uganda. The most recent spark, for those of you who are following this, is that the comments made by Bishop Sebagala, which really brought a lot of controversies. Actually, today I was reading in the New Vision of today, they are reporting the interview which was had with the president of Uganda, and the president of Uganda also today made comments in the press, and he's saying that he does not agree in permanent condemnation of these children, and as cabinet, they are going to give us a position in due course. So the policies, we have the guidelines, that's what we are talking about, but you see, it is not clear whether now girls can go to school or they cannot go to school. Lastly, is the silenced voice of young mothers in sexual and reproductive health and decision making. And this is a core problem that this project intends to contribute to. What are the young mothers saying? What do they want is something that is very key. Finally, as I conclude, I wish to call upon all of us as stakeholders in our different capacities to reflect on some possibilities that can possibly change the status quo. One is evidence generation, research studies which center young mothers as researchers and as advocates of issues that concern them. Number two is creating avenues that illuminate the voice of young mothers, maybe through media or through community dialogues or any other platforms. Number three is to carefully, intentionally listen to the voice of youth, so that in whatever decisions that we arrive at, they are informed by the youth. And lastly is to enhance the youth actions, whereby we support the youth to be able to design actions and also to implement them. I wish to thank you so much for listening to me. Over to you, Jackie.
Thank you so much, Anna. A lot of information in a very short time. I hope people can digest on that a bit. Next, we want to listen to a young mother who is representing other young mothers on this call. Doris, I hope you have made her a co-host so she can turn on her video. And ladies and gentlemen, I am introducing to you Miriam. She'll tell you more about herself. She's 21 years and she became a mother at 15 years when she was in school. She has since continued schooling and recently completed her senior 6. Miriam is a Young Mothers Global Ambassador under the Coalition of Children Affected by AIDS and lives in Kawala Zone 2 in Kampala. Yeah. She coordinates and mobilizes fellow young mothers and links them to different programs. We are honored to have you here. Miriam is representing other young mothers who are on this call. You are very welcome, young mothers. And for those of you who are just joining us, welcome. So Miriam, please turn on your video and unmute yourself and speak to us. Thank you. Okay, now we can hear you well. There was a background noise, but now we can hear you well. Please proceed.
Okay, good afternoon to you all. Yes, sorry. Sasha Miriam, and I'm 21 years old, and I'm the Young Mothers Ambassador under the Coalition of Children Affected by AIDS. And I'm working as a peer educator at Uganda Network of Young People Living with HIV, as a mentor and also as a mentor mother. So yeah, my work as a young mother, I've been mentoring other young people through those hardships they are going through, mentorship. I've been helping some young mothers who don't even have more needs. Like you can find a fellow young mother that cannot access like pampers for the baby, even food. But personally, I'm not having a lot of money. I'm not having actually money because I'm not even working. So on my work, of course, they pay me sometimes they don't pay. Okay, I just do this as charity to help my fellow young mothers because I passed through a lot when I gave birth at 15 years and no one could support me, but I see it as a challenge to see my fellow young mothers suffering, yet I have to help them, yet I have something little I can offer to them and they appreciate. So I also provide mentorship to them. And they feel happy, of course, because there are some young mothers who hate themselves and they don't feel like going back to school. Because personally, when I gave birth, I was in senior 3 and I was 15 years old. I was in a single school, unfortunately. So I did know more about maybe SHRH. I didn't know about those things of contraceptive, abortion, maybe. Also, I didn't have enough counseling from my parents because of course they had no time for me. You know, some parents are too busy for us, but we never judge them because they're also doing their role. They think that school is doing its best to give us counseling. But in most cases, some schools even fear because there are some senior women who talk things abruptly. Maybe they talk them and some of us, we don't pick up, or we just see because we don't even take action since someone is talking. So Ugandans most times we believe by seeing, you be like, when this is the outcome, this is the outcome. So you find yourself, sometimes it's not that we do it like when we want it. Sometimes these young mothers, they are seeking for money. There is a young mother who is out there, she's done to support the family. Or a young girl, she may not be a young mother, but she's a young girl. She's seeking money for the family to feed her siblings. The parents are not supportive. Of course, maybe that the parents also don't have money. So she will find a way to go and get money. She will get a boyfriend, of course, but in the end, she will get pregnant. You won't judge her because she has been looking for money. And besides, some parents are supportive. They be like, if you don't have money, you're not going to eat. So you find your own way of feeding. So you also find out going to a boyfriend. Sometimes the boyfriend you go to does not have money or gives you the little you can bring to your siblings so that they can also earn a living. So these things, they hinder us, but we have no way of maybe addressing them, because there are a few points, there are a few opportunities for us young mothers to address our issues. So we find it very difficult to tell our fellow community leaders. Some people in the community just judge you. They don't know why it happened, but they just judge you that girl is spoiled. Of course, you're verbally abused. And there is a process whereby this young mother, maybe she has got HIV, she didn't know who she is sleeping with, or some of these young mothers maybe became sexual workers, sex workers, just because they want to earn what? They want to earn money. But unfortunately, our families, some of us, our families that are not taking part, because our families can leave us, you stay alone, parents maybe go for safari or they go for working and they just leave us there. What do you expect? They don't send you money. Of course, you expect to go to a guy who is going to give you money and you earn a living. Some of them, they are left with other siblings. What are they going to have? Of course, I'll be forced to get a boyfriend or get any other means, maybe go for sex work, or even practice different practices such as abortion, which may lead, okay, some people may use different activities when it's not like regulated by the doctor. So you end up, maybe those are the people that end up giving up their lives and they die because they use the drugs. Okay, some use even herbal medicine. So you find yourself not so good. So this issue should end. So I'm fighting I'm fighting for my fellow young mothers that they should have a voice in maybe those upper, like in the government, because personally, you can't bring someone from another area to speak for me. Like, you can't bring someone who's not a young mother to speak for me. That's why I say nothing for us without us. Because if it's not me talking, then who will support? Someone will go there in the government and she will talk other things. She will just think for me as a young mother, but she won't she won't know what is hindering me, because personally, she's not a young mother. Maybe she'll even judge me. But if it is a young mother talking about the issues and she's saying that the issue is going to those stakeholders, the elders, like in the government, the local council, because even some of these local people, they judge us because they have no victims, maybe in their families. So some of these people are even well off. So you just find them judging us who are low. Maybe they verbally abuse us, but it's not the issue. You've not seen why it happened, why I became a young mother. Maybe I was raped, maybe I was forced, maybe my family even forced me into marriage when I didn't want, but people just come from nowhere and judge us. So our main decision is to guide us and not discriminate us. And I'm so happy that Uganda put up this system that any young mother could go back to school after giving birth. So it is a good issue, because some of these young mothers were fearing to go back to school. Why? Because they have children. Personally, I was fearing to go back to school when I gave birth, but I was encouraged by my father. Actually, my grandmother, she told me you can go back, but actually I wouldn't go back to the same school. I had to change school where nobody knew that I'm even a young mother. So I kept my status as a young mother. I kept quiet until I completed my senior six this last year. And I'm so happy about that, because I went back, I emphasized, I did my senior 4, I went back to school, I went to senior, until I did my senior 6. Despite of the hardships that were there in COVID, some of us felt like giving up, but I said I need a career. So I went back to school, I studied my senior 6, I completed. So I even encourage more young mothers to take part, to go back to school, not to discriminate themselves or put themselves that they can't do anything. I'm good. Just they need their support and even encouragement. So I encourage more of the young mothers to take part in this act. But besides that, we need as a voice for ourselves, not other people to speak for us who are not even young mothers. It is the voice for us, we young mothers, to the stakeholders. There is nothing for us without us. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. Who are we to speak for young mothers? Thank you, Miriam. She has raised many important points. The lack of information
Welcome.
and lack of consideration for what they experience as young mothers. That's quite a mouthful from the sessions before. Those who are just joining us, thank you for logging on. We are going to listen to what the project is about. However, before that, Derek, just give us 1 to 2 minutes break, and then we will continue as people digest information. Thank you, Derek.
Cases of teenage pregnancy are on the rise in Uganda. National statistics in 2016 showed that 1 in 4 girls got pregnant by age 18. United Nations Population Fund reports that the number of adolescent girls that got pregnant skyrocketed between 2020 to 2021, especially in Busoga and the Central Region. COVID-19 and the government of Uganda containment measures led to the surge in young motherhood. Many of these cases ascribed to sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, harsh economic realities, and inadequate access to information on sexual and reproductive health services, making it difficult for the girl child. The Centering Marginal Voices project attempts to enhance the voices of young mothers in Iganga, Busoga, and Kawempe, Kampala, through building research and advocacy skills to negotiate their sexual and reproductive health and rights. We hope that this project will produce the data that will be useful in terms of informing legal and policy reforms, as well as programming and practice at national, subnational, and grassroots levels.
Thank you, Derek, for that short break. And thank you, everybody. Hope you have internalized the information that you received before. We will now listen to the principal investigator who I introduced already, Professor Doris, will be presenting the project to us. While she does, you may have questions that you can raise in the chat. We'll keep following them up and raise them after her presentation. Yes, please write those questions and we will be looking at them. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Professor Doris, to present the project to us.
Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, the previous speakers. Anna, thank you very much for that powerful presentation. And Miriam, thank you for that very powerful message. I concur with you 1,000,000% that we need to give young people, specifically the mothers, voice to speak for themselves instead of us speaking for them. So yeah, although my team members and I have previously done work on expectant and parenting young people, the consequences of school closure related to COVID-19 compelled us to design this project. So the project ideas were conceived in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. And to summarize what the project is about, we want to break new ground as far as giving voice to expectant and parenting female youth is concerned. We want to give voice to their hidden, minoritized, and invisibilized experiences of oppression and exclusion. and to give them the opportunity to tell the world the changes they would like to see in how they are understood, how they are framed, how they are ignored, and generally how they are marginalized. So due to lack of a better word, we call these expectant and parenting female youth young mothers in this project. Next slide, please. So the project is implemented by 3 partners. The University of Victoria, where I come from. I have myself and my co-PI, Professor Mandi Mustina. And then we have Makerere University, Professor Tom Hendo, and Nation Research and Development Organization, Anna Kamsine. We are mentoring graduate students, 2 from UVic, the University of Victoria, and 2 from Makerere University. The project is funded by the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada under the Partnership Development Grants Program, and it's funded until 2024. I know that some of you are asking me questions about the funding. In the email, you asked us the funding and who benefits from the funding, but yes, all the funding goes to supporting young mothers to speak for themselves. We shall facilitate them, as I'm going to share with you. So why this project? According to WHO in 2020, there's a WHO report that shows that 45% of the world's unintended pregnancies among girls aged between 15 and 19 occur in sub-Saharan Africa. And in Uganda, at least 1 in 4 girls below 18 falls pregnant annually. So this is very, very, I would say, disturbing statistics, because you imagine when you have 4 girls below 18, one of them is either expectant or parenting. And as Anna shared in her presentation, we don't know where they fall because our society does not recognize them as children, and neither do we recognize them as adults or as mothers, because as you know, our culture, mothers are supposed to be married and in an adult relationship. So due to COVID-19 containment measures, these figures increased, and we don't even know exactly how many are they. And all this happens even when the Ugandan laws criminalize sexual activity with people below 18, male or female. So we have the Constitution, the Children's Act, the Sexual Offences Bill, and so many others, as you know. So we have a very rich child protection environment, including policies, but most of them are really rooted in colonial values and agendas, and they are based on religious values. So religious values and moral values are prioritized, for example, when responding to news of or discovery of a pregnancy, because girls who fall pregnant breach these moral and religious and cultural values, regardless of how they got pregnant or who got them pregnant. It could have been due to sexualized violence or due to rape or defilement. It doesn't matter. When you're pregnant and you're young, you are the problem, as Anna shared. So our policy regime is very morally conservative, and we are saying we need to pause and listen to the people who are affected. Why do we give them names without listening to them? Why do we do all this that we do without asking them? So as you all know, young people constitute the majority of Uganda's population, and the adults are the minority. Yet they think, or we think, we are the experts. So consequently, that's why we have laws and policies which are based on adult their adult thinking, Eurocentric and universalistic knowledge and principles. So this study was designed because there are no studies to date that have examined and documented efforts to change this narrative. And we are asking all of us whether young mothers' perspectives are important or necessary or not, or should we continue only to listen to the experts? I've read some studies actually conducted in North America that have shown that not all parenting youth have had negative experiences. I've also read studies about experiences of former young mothers and children of former young mothers, people who were born when their mothers were teens, and they tell different stories. So today we want to listen to young mothers in Uganda, especially in view of their evolving capacities, or in recognition that as children grow, they acquire certain enhanced competencies, and it becomes necessary to allow them to exercise their agency and to take responsibility for decisions affecting their lives. So the study is meant to achieve 5 objectives. Yes, they are quite a number. One is to examine the existing policies, programs, and practices that shape adolescent sexual and reproductive health and injustice in Uganda. 2, to assess young mothers' everyday encounters, struggles, and resistance to the dominant gendered, generational, structural, and cultural forces that frame young motherhood. 3, to analyze young mothers' conceptualization of the gendered social norms that shape their historic experiences and realities. 4, to describe the process of co-creating youth-focused, contextually relevant knowledge required for young mothers' reproductive justice, and to analyze public response to young people's engagement in research, advocacy, and conversations about young motherhood. The study will be conducted in Kawempe and Iganga. So we wanted to have a rural context and an urban context. That's why we chose those 2. And it is informed by the theoretical frameworks offered by critical childhood studies, and also informed by post-colonial theories. We'll use an interdisciplinary approach, mainly based on the notions of such as reproductive justice and also sexual citizenship. So it's a mixed method study, and it's underpinned by relational epistemology. Young mothers, whom we have called youth peer researchers, will and their participants will relationally engage to co-construct knowledge through drawing meaning out of their experiences and their interactions. So we'll have young mothers go out, we'll facilitate them, we'll train them, we'll mentor them to be the ones to collect the data from their peers and bring it back, and we'll facilitate them to make meaning out of this data out of the experiences that they are going to have with their peers. And this is how we intend to collect data. So it's a relational inquiry, but also that follows community-based participatory research approaches. So we have 3 phases. In the first phase, we'll do a policy analysis and also collect baseline data. Like I said, young mothers will be spearheading the data collection and interpretation process. Then after that, we'll collect qualitative data. We collect qualitative data also where young mothers will be trained and mentored and facilitated to collect this data from their peers. And then the third phase will be a phase of public engagement, whereby again, we'll mentor them and empower them to engage with the public, to, for example, go on TV and hold live call-in shows and speak to the public about what they want to, what they have agreed to tell the public. So that is another phase, and our job will be simple, only to document what's happening. So after that, then we'll work with them to analyze the data and to be sure that we are getting the correct interpretations of the data that we are going to collect together with them. So for quantitative data, the baseline data, which we are going to collect basically about how many young mothers are there, how many, when did they fall pregnant, things like that, who made them pregnant, how many children, things like that, which are really statistics. We'll do simple descriptive statistics and just to inform our qualitative phase of the study. And then the qualitative analysis, like I said, we'll be doing it together with them based on their interpretations of their interactions with fellow young mothers. I can tell you more about it if you're interested, but I don't want to make it very, very academic. So I'm just giving you a general overview. So after we have collected and analyzed the data, again, the dissemination will be done in various ways, but it includes youth-led dissemination strategies. We'll have the youth engage in terms of having workshops, presenting their findings, but we also have other ways such as conference presentations and the usual academic publications that we do. I want to note that we have already obtained all the necessary ethical approvals and permissions to conduct the study, and we'll endeavor to adhere to them, including protecting the anonymity of all our participants as we go along in reporting and in interpreting the data and in sharing the findings. We shall maintain the anonymity of our participants. So I would like to pause here. Unless there are questions later, I can address them, but that's the general overview of the project. We are giving young mothers whom, as I defined at the beginning, expectant and parenting youth, regardless of whether they have a child living or they lost a child or they have one child or several children, it doesn't matter, so long as they are below 18 years. So thank you very much. Jackie, back to you.
Thank you, Professor Doris. A lot of research information, but there were some simple things to understand. We are amplifying the young mother's voice in a nutshell. There are a number of questions and comments coming in through the chat. Please continue bringing them in. We continue to recognize the presence of our stakeholders in the communities of Kawempe and Iganga. Thank you for logging on, and thank you for supporting this project to come to your respective sites. I am opening the space now for interactions. In the event that you have questions, please just raise your hand. There's a function to raise your hand somewhere, and then you will be unmuted by the host, and you can speak. While you do that, prepare to raise your hands. I am going to read some comments. There's a comment from Isaac Kitongo. Is there a possibility of adding Kome Islands in the program? Because it's really worse in the island communities. The enrollment has declined because most of our girls were taken advantage of. I could answer you very quickly. That is not possible, but the findings from this research can be scaled up to other places thereafter. Then the other one I will leave for Professor to manage. Dr. Doris, how are you planning to identify the young people to conduct the study? I'm not sure if I missed this in your presentation. Okay, Professor will be addressing that. The other was a comment from Kristen Cheney. The campaign on meaningful youth participation in SRHR might be of interest to the participants on the chat, but also to the people on the project. We'll look at that. She also shares a Facebook link. Thank you, Kristen. There are other questions coming in. There's a hand up. Let me first let someone speak. Can any of the co-hosts help me unmute people whose hands are up? I can't seem to have the full list. There's a hand that's up somewhere.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Saidi Mukoti. I am the Senior Probation Officer of Iganga District. I want to, first of all, appreciate the organization for the great work that's done in Iganga District, and two, appreciate for this platform amidst the challenges that are prevailing in movement and all that, enabling us have this session. It's really so helpful and better to improve on our services. I want to appreciate Dr. Doris and others that have presented before. However, I want to inquire if there's a provision for scaling up these services to some other sub-counties, because in Iganga, they are basically working in one sub-county, and that is the Bulamadi sub-county. So I was requesting if there's a way out, basing on our data as a district, if we can scale up these services to some few sub-counties this year to see how best that you can balance the boat. We have 11 sub-counties in Iganga, and working in one sub-county, fine, is okay. But if we scale it up to like 2 or 3 sub-counties, basing on the data we have, apparently, it can help us to find a way of improving on the the livelihood of the young girls and young mothers. Just like Miriam said, when you look at the stepping stone approach, it's always important to give these young children, young girls, young mothers opportunity to work for themselves better. But if you're working in one sub-county, just like in Iganga, it is very hard for such other mothers in distant sub-counties to get feel of the organization and the activities it's really extending towards us. So that is my prayer. If there's a way out, you're really welcome, and we're ready to receive you and work with you to see that young mothers' rights excel in the district. I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saidi Mukoti. Thank you for the comments and the questions. They will be addressed. I think I will, do you want to take some more comments before you respond, Prof? Anna?
Can I respond?
Maybe please respond to some of those and then I can read more and take more hands.
Okay, I'm going to respond to Mr. Mukoti and I'll ask my colleague Anna to respond to the questions about selection of applicants and of participants. I'm asking Anna to respond to those questions because she is in charge of community engagement in this project, and that's her docket, sort of. Mr. Mukoti, thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for pledging your support to the project. We appreciate it, and we don't take that for granted. Yeah, the questions and information you have provided is also very, very important. That's why we are here. But I'd like to inform you that you are the key person we shall be working with. We've just launched the project today, and the next step is to come to you officially to maybe plan how to move forward, maybe do another launch at the district level. And together with you and your office and your colleagues, we shall really discuss and agree where to focus, whether to scale it up, whether to move to another location. So that's not finalized until we have agreed on it together with you. So yeah, there's still room for change, and I can promise you that we are coming. Thank you very much. Anna, over to you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Doris, and thank you so much, Jackie, as well. I think the question on selection was raised by Quraish. Quraish, thank you so much for that question, and it is very important for us to reflect indeed on how we are going to ensure that we can meaningfully provide opportunities for as many girls as we can to participate in this project. Now, what we planned to do is, first of all, I need to say that Nascent RDO has worked in these two different settings before for the past 2 years. I think the probation officer and also from Kawempe, I saw someone, I think also from community development. We worked there on the community of practice program. So we have worked there and until end of last year, and we have existing local structures that are going to be able then to support us to be able to lay a foundation of this program and identify the girls who are going to participate in this program at different levels. But also we are counting on the partnerships that we already started on and we nurtured and built during the 2 years we are working in these two settings, that we are going to still engage with and continue to network with so that we can reach out to many, because also from our experience when we're working in these two settings, we realize that there are many actors also, there are many players that we are going to engage with to give us the support. There are also youth groups in these areas that are going to play a supportive role in identifying the young mothers and who participates in which capacity, as well as, of course, the local government structures. Yes. So right now, we have not identified any of them, and we are not going to do this on our own. It is something that we are going to do with the different actors at the different level in the communities. Thank you so much, Quraish, for that question. Over to you, Jackie. There are a number of hands which are up. Jackie, I hope you're able to see them. Thank you.
Yes, I would invite Jamada. I'm asking you to unmute and speak, please. There.
Thank you very much. I need to say good afternoon to each and everyone. My name is Nyirabashitsi from Iganga. I just want to raise my concern and first of all, everybody and the mobilizers of this project. Thank you very much, and indeed we are so grateful. For the participants, thank you for the information given to us. Thank you very much. On reaction to Mr. Mkoti's comment, in the Iganga project is centered as a subject, which is okay, but still, people who were trained in Ulamaji to handle the communities tried as much as possible, and they're still trying as much as possible. Not only working in Ulamaji, but also moving to other sub-counties where the leaders, because these people, this group, decided to go around marketing themselves, telling people that we do ABCD in the community, we help people, we fight against the ABCD, and those who were willing, or those who had the information and help them. We are moving Nachigo, Nakalama, and now plus other subcontinents. Even we end up in Luka. So where we find that the need as it we move from Maji and go. So with the being to other sub-counties is also fine, but Maji we bring our as we were trained. We trained for 2 years, and the team was given certificates, and they're doing recommended work in the community. Then my question is, what solution are we putting across? Because this is what we've been finding in the community, that these younger mothers, the problem is that their parents sometimes force them in marriage, which we are calling forced marriage, when they are still young. They will send them to trading centers in the evening, moving around selling things at night, whereby they find there are some boys who attempt them. So now, what measures are we going to put? We can talk to mothers. What about their parents who try to send them into marriage when they are still young? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jamada. I hope you have taken on that question, Professor and Anna. Could you please mute? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I was trying to look for that. There was another hand. I'm going to find it.
Florence.
Yes, Florence. Florence, please unmute and speak.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Florence.
I'm Florence Mateke from Public Health Ambassadors, Uganda. I want to thank you, the organizers, for engaging us as civil society in this project that you're launching. And I'm grateful that this is going to act as an evidence creator for us, especially those implementing in the East, that's in Jinja and Iganga. So we are far with implementing in Jinja, doing sensitization in SRHR using the peer-to-peer model, and also providing family planning services at a subsidized price at different health facilities. So we request to engage us more throughout this project implementation so that we can see how we can better help the young people in those areas, since we're in the area of implementation, and see if we can engage them in our projects and see how we can help them better, and also maybe find out the new challenges that we didn't know so that we can plan for better implementation so that these people are served and they achieve their goals they want in life without being interfered by these pregnancies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Florence. I would like to take a break there so that you can respond to a few of those, and then we proceed. So over to you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Florence, for your interest in working with us. I know FAO very well, and yeah, I'm very excited that you are interested in working with us. I will link up with you, or otherwise, please link up with me I know Patrick very well, and we've been talking about these matters. So let's have a side conversation on that. And I want to go back to the question raised by Jamada. Thank you very much for raising that question. Yeah, this is, we know that there are so many challenges all of us that young mothers encounter, or young girls encounter in the process of growing up. And since time immemorial, we, the adults, have been trying to come up with solutions, and probably that's why nothing much has changed. This time around, we want the solutions to come from the young mothers themselves who have experienced all these issues, and whatever they decide is what they will advocate for. So if they decide to, let's say, tell their parents that they are going to probably come up with ways of challenging early marriage or forced marriage, I don't know, whatever they decide. So this project is going to give them that space to engage with each other and to come up with solutions, and also tell the world that these are the solutions we want to see, and this is what we want to see happen, and how it's going to happen. So yeah, that's a very important question, and unfortunately, I don't have the answer for you at this particular moment, but I'm very, very optimistic that the solution will come, and it will come from them. Thank you. Jackie, over to you.
Thank you. Was that all? Okay, I have some from the chat. Florence is also asking, how inclusive will it be? Will the views of young people with disabilities be considered? And then Kristen wants to know, how will you involve men and boys in the project? And then Betty Lunku says, support for young mothers to continue pursuing their dreams is key. How will the study address this? So I'll just leave it at those three, and then we'll go on to others.
Yeah, how shall we involve young mothers with disability? Of course, we are not excluding anyone. That study is focused on young mothers, young female young mothers, and regardless of their state of ability or disability. So we are not going to discriminate on that basis. Secondly, the question on how we are going to involve boys and men. The survey will really be at the household level, and we capture responses at that level of the family. But also we are going to engage with local leaders separately. We'll have stakeholder consultations. We'll have focus group discussions with parents, and some of these will be men. We don't have plan to engage boys separately in this project. It's like outside the scope of this study, but we know that it's an important thing to consider. And probably after this, we will come up with, the young mothers will come up with something in that line. So yeah, we are not focusing on boys at the moment, but we are going to engage the rest of the community as we go along in the process of the project.
Prof. Doris, before you continue, I would like you to take a break right there. Our chief guest just signed on, and I would like that she makes her speech and then proceeds with the day. I would therefore want to invite our Ugandan leader, Professor Grace Bantebia, to invite Honorable to speak to us. Professor Grace, over to you.
Sorry, thank you so much for asking me to invite the minister. We are definitely very, very privileged to have you join us at this function where we are launching a project that is addressing the issue of young mothers. I think throughout the presentations that we've had, we even had the voice of the young mother, their experiences and how they are treated, the drivers, they are all there, but we have a situation where it's continuing and they are marginalized, they are voiceless. This project is aimed at really building the capacity and empowering and giving space and voice to the young mothers to talk, to engage, and so that we can draw lessons from their experiences, from what they know, what happens, because they've been silent for long. So as a minister in charge of youth and children affairs, Honorable Sarah Mateke, Minister of State for Youth and Children in the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. We are privileged. We know that you're very busy, and we do acknowledge that the ministry has been at the center of really addressing issues of gender, issues of women, issues of girls. So it's our pleasure and honor to have you here with us. And we are looking forward to listen to your wise guidance, but also more so on a broader perspective. We look forward, and we really have intentionally, we will be working with the ministry in order to advance this cause, which is also the ministry's cause. And it's a cause for all of us, parents, mothers, and so on, that there is something that needs to be done differently to address the situation of young mothers. Honorable Minister, when you are not, some of the issues that emerged were the persisting numbers and the persisting situation. And so we really want to partner with the ministry, but also now listen to what the ministry and the government offers us. And we definitely pledge to work with you and other ministry and other stakeholders, because the cause is not individual. The cause cannot be addressed by one. We need policy guidance, we need planning guidance. So you're most welcome. I take this opportunity to invite you to make your remarks.
Thank you once again. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, Honorable.
Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to appreciate you so much. The Dean School of Women and Gender Studies, Makerere University, Associate Professor, my namesake Sarah Sali, the Dean of School of Child and Youth Care, the University of Victoria, Canada, Professor Helga, the principal investigator of the project Centering Marginal Voices, Associate Professor Doris Kakuru, and your team, dignitaries from UN agencies, universities, civil society organizations, local government, the young people present here today, ladies and gentlemen. The lady talking to you is Sarah Mateke, Nyirabashitsi, Member of Parliament from Kisoro, and the Minister of State for Gender, Labor and Social Development in charge of youth and children. And I'm very happy that I'm with you this evening. Let me take this opportunity to bring greetings from Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. I also want to take this opportunity to thank you all very much for expressing your will and interest to contribute to supporting the programs of Government of Uganda, especially those which are under Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, focusing on improving the well-being of our young people. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all aware that teenage pregnancy remains an issue of great concern in this country. We are struggling with high rates of teenage pregnancy and child marriage, which affects over 60% of our young girls in Uganda, of which 15% are married by the age of 15 years and 49% by the age of 18 years. With the onset of COVID-19 and the subsequent closure of schools, the situation has deteriorated, with cases of teenage pregnancies increasing all over the country, and which are at an alarming rate. I am thus very much delighted that this project is starting at a time when, as a country, we are experiencing this worrying rise in numbers of young pregnant girls resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. And also at a time when government of Uganda is debating how to safely support these girls to continue with their education. I commend you all. As you are aware, Busoga region and the Central region registered some of the highest cases of teenage pregnancies during the closure of schools. And a project of this nature in Iganga district and Kawempe division, Kampala, is an excellent boost, and I welcome this relief to our efforts as government. Ladies and gentlemen, government has put in place a number of interventions to curb down the escalating cases of teenage pregnancy in Uganda. On its part, as government and as our ministry, we have developed a strategy of ending child marriage and teenage pregnancy 2015, and the Adolescent Girl Framework 2019. And in 2019, the ministry also commissioned a review of the midterm evaluation of the national strategy to end child marriage and teenage pregnancy. And this was supported by UNICEF, and we want to thank them. And this was published last year in 2021. This is a step to inform our next steps in the review of the strategy. Both documents in many ways contribute to the ongoing struggle of the teenage pregnancy and early marriage, and I urge all of us on this platform to make use of them in the implementation of our activities. My ministry also established a child helpline, Sauti 116, which supports handling of child abuse cases. It is a toll-free line where cases of teenage pregnancies, child neglect, early child marriages can be reported. And I am happy that a number of children have been rescued from all forms of child abuse through this initiative. The national parenting guidelines, together with the child policy, were also developed to emphasize the value of having parents involved in their child's lives, and also empower parents, family, and community structures to effectively nurture their children so that they can realize their full potential uninterrupted. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that we cannot go very far if the issue of parenting is not really addressed. I had an opportunity to visit northern Uganda, and I found a girl of 9 years. This 9-year-old girl was a total orphan who was being looked after by a guardian, a relative. This young girl was impregnated by a 12-year-old boy. I found a girl with a baby. Those who wish, I can share that picture with you. So when the girl saw me, the best thing she could do was to cry. Now I looked at this young lady, 9 years, she's crying, and she's also carrying a baby who is crying. I felt that we really need to do more. Not only talking, not only much as we're talking of supporting them, talking to them. I think we need to do a thorough research on how best we can address this problem. And the best thing, you cannot tell me a 9-year-old girl is able to look after this child. So the best thing I could do is to separate the two. I had to separate the mother with the baby. I had to look for someone to take care of the baby, because even this 9-year-old is also a baby. I also looked for somebody to take care. So it really, we still have a lot to do. Ladies and gentlemen, all the policies and guidelines that we have put in place to protect the children and the family, which is the smallest unit of the society and the foundation of any nation, let us make good use of them for a better future. I must emphasize that ending this vice is a collective effort. Government cannot stop it on its own. We must work together, as my colleague had just said. We can't do it alone. We have to do it together. We work together to ensure that this comes to an end. Therefore, to you, our partners, this project, Centering Marginal Voices, it is timely, and I hope that the results of the project will not only inform, but also support our policy decision-making processes, especially at this critical time, as we start the process of reviewing the strategy to end child marriage and teenage pregnancy. I wish, on behalf of my ministry, to pledge all the necessary support within our means in the implementation of this project. To the University of Victoria, Canada, we appreciate your interest in partnering with us and also wish to extend our appreciation to the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada, who have provided the financial support. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much once again for your dedication to support the fight of ending teenage pregnancy. I therefore take this honor to join hands with the Dean of Women and Gender Studies, Makerere University, launch this project in Uganda. Thank you for your kind attention, for God and my country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for the remarks and the broad spectrum of what the ministry is doing in this area, and all the experiences that you have captured during the field, and also the policies and the documents that are available that shows what the ministry is working on. On behalf of the team, I take this opportunity to thank you and also look forward to working with you. But before you go completely, I would like to now invite my dean, Professor Sarah Sally, who is going to officially, whom you're launching the project together. He makes a few remarks and you have launched, and then she will close the meeting after thanking you. So let me invite Professor Sarah Sally to give her remarks and also appreciate our minister for the guidance and the remarks she has made in relation to the project, and really committed and said that the problem of young mothers remains pertinent, and the need for parenting guidance in terms of the children, but also more so to engage and support the young mothers. So Professor Sarah Sally, you are welcome. Where you have actually, thank you for sparing this time, given that the whole day you have been engaged in other very many important activities. I would like to invite you to just make a few remarks and close and thank everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone. And I'm very happy to be at this event. And I think that's just, I'm on the road. And likely we've been evacuating patients today rather than the very many meetings. And that's why I happened to be on the road and was not able to join earlier. But other than that, I would like to congratulate the team led by Professor Nyirabashitsi Sarah Mateke and Dr. Doris for coming up with this project. Because many times when we do our work as project leads or as people who research and exist in society, we tend to go for those things that are trendy. We tend to go for voices that are more powerful. So to have a project which is trying to center marginal voices in life, but also in research, is very important and is to be applauded. I would like to thank, on behalf of the school and on behalf of Makerere University, everyone who has made this happen. I begin by thanking the researchers. I would also like to thank our chiefs who have come and graced the occasion, like the Honorable Minister. I thank our international partners, University of Victoria, and generally we look forward to having the research outputs from this project and to see how this will help us really come up with better policies to center the voices of young mothers. And this is very important for us at this point in time because we are coming out of a COVID-19 lockdown, which had unintended consequences. And this really related to the many teenage mothers that came out of that. We thought we were saving our populations of a greater problem, which was COVID-19, but we have created a bigger problem, which is going to be with us much longer. So thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your remarks. And these remarks really go as a challenge to the researchers, both in Uganda and at Victoria, to come up with good results that will inform policy making. So like the minister said, I would like to share her remarks and also congratulate you and declare this project launched. I'm not here to launch on behalf of the minister, but to just support the minister's launching of the project. Thank you very much, everyone. And we look forward to sharing more about the results from this project. And I think I would like to end my remarks here. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Sarah Sali. I do understand even when you're traveling with patients, you're always there for the good cause. And we thank you for your leadership and support. And as you already know that the school is going to benefit a lot, we're going to build capacity of some young students who are going to be supported by the students in this project. And so we thank you so much for really making sure you are available despite all the meetings, which I'm really very aware and the problems you have. Thank you. We wish you well and the patient well. More we'll be discussing more. So thank you very much. I would like to hand over to Doris to just say bye to the participants and thank everybody. And I guess we close. Thank you so much, everybody. I mean, this has been really excellent. The young voices, the story of that young woman was amazing. And the statistics by the minister, by the project teams and so on was super good. And the participants, Doris, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Grace. And in my culture, when a bigger drum has been sounded, the smaller one cannot follow. So I just want to close by saying, giving up my appreciation to you, Professor Sari, for being here despite the challenges. And thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for being here and for pledging your support. Thank you very much. We shall be in contact with you in the coming days and months and weeks as we move forward with the project. I want to say thank you to all of you, the participants who came. We appreciate your engagement, and we have to close here, but we are still open. Derek, if you can, please show the slide with our contact details. You can contact us, you can email us, and we'll be happy to engage with you any time of the day or night. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day, a great afternoon, and the rest of the year. Thank you very much.